Welcome to KIV and Krack. Monday, December 8th. Me and Krack, we're just hanging out here every single week, kind of BSing, kind of going through some stuff, trying to bring you guys a little bit of mix of the world of Las Vegas, gambling, sports, money. And I love doing this show with you, Krack, because there's always something new that I learn. What do I need to learn about this week? I'm going to let you
No,
take over.
it's amazing. People at home don't even, we say it. I don't have one subject. I have no idea what we're doing. But however, now that you say that, I was out and about this week and the Cowboys are all in town and they're a real good group for this town. They spend a lot of money, they tip a lot of money, they pay a lot of money. And I'm hearing from people in town that it's a welcome from the previous couple of weeks when they had the F1 Europeans in town, and because I guess they're not as friendly tip wise. But I would think if you're still Europeans, though, you still know you have to take care of bartenders and stuff. I would think. Now, I don't know if that's not the case over there. Do they not tip bartenders? Is that part of their culture
I
too?
tipped when I was in Europe the last couple of times. I just don't think the culture's as prominent as it is here, right? Like they
Yeah.
always say that they pay their bartenders a living wage, whatever that means for each individual country. They make enough hourly that they don't need tips. But I think like for me, at least somebody who's been in the industry off and on throughout their whole life, that gives me like an extra like, hey, you did a great job, right? I
Yeah.
feel like 20 if I tip you 20%, you did an okay job. And that's just kind of my standard, but like I love to take care of people who take care of me. And I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah. Oh yeah.
maybe just culturally it's different in America than it is in Australia or Canada or Europe. And we kind of understand, at least in Vegas, you kind of understand that kind of comes with it. But I think that's why we've seen that autograt added to everything. And I think that was a big problem in Miami for a long time. A lot of the reasons why I didn't like to go to Miami because there was already 25% added to your bill and you never saw your server. At least in Las Vegas, it might be added to your bill, but typically you're still going to get good service.
Gotcha, gotcha. Let me ask you, when you were in the industry, though, was that the case? Was there any autograts back then, or no? There was no autograts.
So I worked at several different nightclubs and it went back and forth. If you remember, there was a big thing with the IRS and the tip compliance there. Let's call it like 2013, 2014, 2015, where each casino was having to go through an IRS audit. And they were saying, okay, we need to know what these people are actually making. And this was when cash was king in Vegas. Not that cash doesn't still hold some weight, but I'm talking cash was king. You could get tipped $500 from one table that loved you and you just shoved it in your pocket, maybe gave your bartender their, 10,
Yeah.
15%, and you kept it to yourself. But when they started doing pooled houses, right? When the nightclub started to really pop up at the Wynn and places like that, and you didn't keep your own tips and they were going into a big pool and managers were getting tipped out and busboys and security guards and all of these things, that's when the IRS really started to get involved. Remember Pure Nightclub and that
Sure.
whole thing went down? They had like jokes that those guys had extra pockets sewed into their coat for all the money that they would get at the front door. And so when those days were kind of shifting was when we saw the autograt really come into play because then it was able to, okay, here's what this that we normally do in revenue on a regular Friday, Saturday night. Here's what we know it's going to be. And they were able to articulate it better to the IRS and says, all right, these girls make $225 an hour in tips. And then the IRS would say, okay, we're going to tax them at $150 an hour. Right. So they kind of came up with an agreement with these different casinos.
Gotcha.
And it was a lot. I mean, it was stressful.
Yeah.
And there were nights where if you worked a slower nightclub shift where several other nightclubs were open, like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and you got cut early, you worked 2 hours, you had to pay $300 in taxes. You didn't leave with $300.
Wow. Wow. And now they're having the new law, I believe, January 1st, that there's no tax on tips up to $25,000, I believe.
I
So,
love it. I'm so happy for those people. Same thing with overtime. I think it's great, especially because I do think that that is one of the perks of being in that industry. You get to set your own schedule depending on if you're a union casino or not, right? But like, we could take off. There was always somebody who wanted to pick up that coveted nightclub shift. Actually, that's how Blakely and I became such good friends. Is
oh,
when I
wow.
started the proxy service, I was still working at the Flamingo Pool, and I would get a whole bunch of signups one random Wednesday, and I would need my shift covered so I could go sign up customers for a new business that we were building. And Blakely would be within seconds. The second I would post hey, I need someone to cover my 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. shift, she was always on it.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you something else. When I go to a restaurant, I went to a restaurant at Durango, Nico's. I went to the steakhouse at Durango. And what do you think about doing something like this? By the way, service there is impeccable. It's so good. It's so easy to pick on some places. Their service there, I've been there 3 times now. Fantastic restaurant, service-wise. Is it my favorite steak in town? No, I've had better steaks, but I like some of their sides, some of their apps. I think their French onion soup is one of the best in the city. They're some of the presentations there, just a real classy place. But what do you think about this? I know there's 2 of us going to dinner, so I know the bill's going to be like $300. It's like $150 each. If you order drinks, it's going to be a little bit more. I literally will give the waiter a $100 bill at the beginning. I'll give the busser $10 to keep my drinks filled. What do you think about tipping ahead of time? They know they're getting a good tip now.
Always.
They know
I tell people that all the time. All the time. If you walk
really?
up and you preemptively tip, that is absolutely the play. Because then they know what the expectation is, and there is already a mutually beneficial thing, right? Like Brett went to the Bucks Saints game yesterday. He looked over in the distance and was like, holy crap, we're about to get rained on again. After it kind of had rained yesterday morning, and the sun came out, and he's like, we're going to get rained on again. Runs over to the gift shop to get ponchos, all sold out. So as he goes up to the janitor and is like, gives him a 20 and goes, I need 3 of your biggest garbage bags so that they can make their own ponchos for the game. You don't think that janitor was like, hell yeah, man, here's 3 garbage bags. You take care of people, they're going to take care of you.
The more amazing thing is the gift shop didn't have ponchos. That's unbelievable. They know it's going to rain. You want to make some money?
Well, think about this. You know it's going to rain, but where are you going to store 60,000 ponchos for the one NFL Sunday that it rains the entire game?
All right, I can give him a pass, but someone I won't give a pass, and you don't have to comment on this. Your ex-employer there. Absolutely childish behavior by Dave Portnoy, screaming and yelling that game was fixed and calling for the murder of the coach, Pete Carroll. So immature. So listen, here's what I want to say. Dave, gamble like a fucking man. Lose your money like a fucking man. You know what I mean? I've been gambling for years. That's not even in my top 20 worst beats. I didn't have a game. I didn't bet the Raiders, but it's a bad beat, yes. But to go on that rant and then say, I bet $250,000 on it. Of course, this morning he apologizes. Yeah, okay, take that. You apologized this morning saying, oh, I had $250,000 on the game. Well, Dave, I look at your net worth. That's 0.2% of what you're even worth that you're betting on a game. Very good. Very responsible for you betting such a low amount percentage-wise of your. But however, though, don't go on and insult everybody and tell them how much you're betting and why you're mad, this and that. But the worst thing was calling for the murder of the head coach. There's so many kids out there that listen to you. People look up to you. And by the way, before this little rant, I thought Portnoy was okay. He loves dogs. I love that about him. He's generous. He gives good donations, takes care of. I love that about him. This is a terrible look for him. And better yet, it's a terrible look for America and society. If that happened to a lot of other people, they'd be in a lot of trouble. Absolutely wrong to do something like that. Of course he was going to apologize this morning. But does he really want to apologize? Maybe yesterday looked like he was on something. It was crazy the way his hair was and in his multi-zillion-dollar mansion. Very, very wrong. Very wrong what he did. And listen, it just everyone else thinks, well, the game's fixed now. People think the game's fixed. Of course, well, you're hearing that already. I made a copy of something. I like what this guy, I don't know, Mitch Godfrey on Twitter. Sports bettors believe everything is a conspiracy because of the spread. I can make up an allegation for every game if I wanted to. I ain't buying this. Absolutely, Mitch, that I agree with that.
Well, I think there's several games this year where the refs have decided something on a final call. We saw it in the Broncos Colts game, right? With the last minute field goal that they missed, and then subsequently he got a second shot at it on some call. I still don't even really fully understand what it is because I had never even heard it called before. We saw the Rams Eagles game, right? I was a beneficiary of good luck on that one. That one went my way. So I was on the Broncos -7.5 yesterday in the Super Contest. I gave it out as my best bet on it. I didn't even know Krack until after I saw on social media, almost an hour later, right? Because the staggered games. So I'm watching Broncos Raiders. I turn it off. It's 24/7. I don't need to watch this. I want to watch Packers Bears. I've got Packers -6.5 in pocket.
Right.
So it wasn't until after Packers Bears was over that I saw that I did not cover. I was getting ready to tweet something like 4-0 this week in the Super Contest, even though it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm sitting just around 500. And I was like, holy shit, how did I not cover that? And then I went on social media and I saw all of this stuff. I think ultimately what people need to understand about Dave, and I will say this, I really enjoyed my time working at Barstool. All of the things you said about him are absolutely true, but I also think he does a lot of things for clicks and getting those outlandish things. And I've been guilty of it as well. I will say, yeah, there's a line that gets crossed at a point in time. And yes, you're supposed to be a role model for younger people and other gamblers and things like that. But I don't think, to quote, how about this? To quote the great Charles Barkley, and I say this about myself, I'm not a role model. And I don't think Dave really wants to portray himself as one either. And to be able to turn on your phone in the heat of the moment and say all sorts of crazy shit is probably what makes America so great. But yes, there is a line that gets drawn, and the court of public opinion, such as yourself, gets to say, this is too far. As you said, pretend like you've been there before.
Listen, I'm a gambler. I know what it is to gamble my whole life. I know what it is to get bad beats. That wouldn't have been in my top 20 bad beats. Yes, it was bad. Yes, I don't know if there really should have been a penalty for holding the guy down. But why they kicked there is you have 4 seconds, and you're going to, if you see any team down by 10, normally they're going to try to get that field goal first at the end, then a touchdown. And so sure enough, 4 seconds, they just had a smidgen of hope that maybe they can get that field goal within 3 seconds, maybe kick some kind of crazy onside kick. It's the only shot they have. There's no chance anything else. That's the only chance you have.
Well, I think that is a very good point, because I did watch that back, and you're right. Pete Carroll is trying to win a football game. He could have just kneeled it down, or they could have taken a sack or whatever and ended it. But ultimately, you're probably correct. I do still think the Raiders backers, maybe go buy a lotto ticket this week. Congratulations.
Yeah, no.
Other coaches wouldn't have done that. That was a generational cover, if you will. But you're right. It's not by far the worst beat I've ever seen. I've seen horrific beats in my day. That one did suck. But, at the end of the day, it turned right around when the Packers got a red zone interception, right? Like, yes. Things are going to go your way. Things are going to go against you. And that's the interesting thing. Teddy Cover says this.
Make an excuse. Like, all Raiders bettors woke up today saying, yeah, that was good. I mean, there was plays earlier. We should have done this. We should have won anyway. Yeah. Of course, Denver bettors just watching the last, down by 17 there with a couple minutes left, saying that's one terrible beat when we should have won, and it's got to be fixed. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, but the fixed thing is just a cope, right? I've realized this since I've owned companies like Wager Talk, since I sold my own picks. Sometimes people are looking for people to blame. They're looking to blame a quarterback. They're looking to blame a ref. They're looking to blame the person that sold them the picks. Losers are going to find ways to complain, Krack, and they're going to find ways to blame other people. It can't possibly be.
This loser shouldn't have called for someone's murder.
I would agree. I think it's very fair to say, no, you should not say that. Hand up, I haven't watched the video. I really have had a lot going on. And I did see snippets of, like you said, Dave's hair is all crazy. He's just kind of going on his rant, but I didn't sit back and listen to the whole thing.
Well, yeah. And I mean, it just, like I said, I just don't like what it shows to the younger generation. He's got a lot of Barstool guys that follow him. By the way, the Stoolies and all the stuff they do, this will end any chance I have. Well, not that I even want to be on Barstool. I don't care. One thing about me, I'm very lucky in life. I don't have to be on anything. I'm good just betting sports, making a hell of a living there for the year. So I kind of tell it like it is, or how I feel it is throughout the year about different subjects. But, you look at I know DraftKings put these numbers out, and their hold is double what Nevada is on their holds. Literally, like, Nevada would be so happy to hold 3, 4, 5%, and DraftKings is holding double that in many situations. Now you take it a step further. The Barstool crowd, they're holding up to 20%. I've seen 17% holds on Barstool crowd, because they just promote gambling, and I'm not trying to go after them. So, but we talk about responsible gambling, teaser pricing, respect the markets, respect the price, respect the half of points around key numbers. It's not stuff that media company would do.
Yeah, but I mean, Krack, when I worked there, I really did try to do that. I really did try to advocate for things. You know, at that time it was owned by Penn Gaming, and I think that's part of the reason why they brought me in, is to bring a little bit of credibility to the space while still having a really good time, right? You have to remember, at the end of the day, Barstool is an entertainment company. Their job is to, I mean, that's why they have so much infighting. That's why the things you see on social media, it doesn't matter. It is a content machine, and very, 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 very unlikely that's going to get derailed by saying something absolutely crazy like Portnoy said yesterday. Probably, I'm guessing DraftKings, right, big sponsor of theirs, probably said, hey, guess what? Can't say that. Fox, you know, he does all the Fox shows now, probably said, hey, can't say that. You know, like you said, if I said that, Wager Talk couldn't fire me. They may take me off air, but I'm an owner, so I can't get fired. But
right.
You know, there may be 3 other owners that come to me and say, you need to apologize for that. This is a horrific look.
Yeah.
And then you would subsequently have to do so.
Yeah, of course. But so Kel, let me ask you a question. Why didn't you go to that game yesterday? Why just Brett? How come you didn't get the invite? Or was it a guy timeout?
No. So Brett's grandma's a Saints fan. And Brett was like, oh, I just realized the Saints are playing. I was up at my dad's house. I had taken the 2 big dogs up. Our little Frenchie that we just adopted just had surgery. So I was like, okay, I'll take the 2 big dogs up. They can go play on the 10 acres and get some energy out. He can stay at home and rest and recover. So we kind of did a swap off. I dropped off the big dogs at his brother's, grabbed grandma. They went to the game. And I'm really glad I wasn't there. I'm a fair weather fan, as in I like it to be beautiful and 75 outside. Don't put me in a blizzard. Don't put me in a rainstorm. Don't make me have to hide underneath the overhang because there's a lightning delay for 2 hours. Those kinds of things just aren't that fun for me. Also, I had Bucks as my second leg of my Survivor, and I would have been in such a bad mood. Like, I feel like Grandma and I are on opposite sides of games already. Like, it just happens. Like, on Thanksgiving, she's cheering for the Chiefs. I'm cheering for the Cowboys. And it's like every time we get together, yesterday I was cheering for the Packers. She was cheering for the Bears. So it just kind of, whatever reason, she and I are just opposite a lot. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to let her go to the game on top of everything else going on and enjoy it with her grandson so she can cheer for the Saints. Now, if I had the Saints plus 8.5, which I did, you would think I'd want to go. But the Survivor play, the 2.5 million, it's gone. The Browns killed it anyway, but
here too.
Come on.
Here, they're down to 11, and 28 people had Tampa Bay, so they're down to 11. I think it's 11 people in the Survivor. There, the intricate value is. Let me see here. Intricate value,
like at least $1 million, right?
1.8 million almost.
Woo!
Yeah. Each ticket, each entry. So that's got to be really. Imagine you're with your buddies and there's 3 years in the pool, and you have something worth 1.8 million. 1.8 million. You just have to put yourself in a mindset of how can I sell a piece of this and lock some money up. So
I've had former customers message me over the last week that are still alive. I don't know if he made it to this week. I guess I should ask him. But yeah, I mean, there's really like one marketplace you could sell it on. Otherwise, you got to know people with some really, really deep pockets.
Yeah.
Like, Krack, if I called you and I was one of those 11 people, would you be able to help me sell a portion of it?
Survivor, there's a website, Survivor Sweat.
Yeah.
And that website has, I wonder if anyone's in there, because now it would be worth to maybe sell a piece for like, just to lock up like $100,000 if you can get 10%. I know your 10% is worth 1.1.
Yeah, but you're still 100xing your money of your entry fee.
Just to lock up some money, because it means so much to someone. I think it's worth, but I don't know. I had one of the guys that started that site on my VSiN show this week, and there's some lawyer stuff involved. There's a lot of money involved. You have to make sure you're getting, you're going to.
Well, and we've seen that with other places that are marketplaces have issues in the past. Remember, where people didn't get paid and so forth. So it's like, you better have all of your T's crossed, your I's dotted. Like, you better have some stuff in place, because if somebody purchases something and doesn't receive what they're supposed to, or vice versa, there's a big lawsuit ready to happen.
Yeah, no, there is. We can talk about Wager Talk for a minute, because I asked my right-hand man here. I said, what did we do last week? And I know we had a winning week again, but very small. But however, another winning week in a row. NCAA football 4-1, NFL 9-4, NBA 4-1, college basketball our first losing week of college basketball, 7-12, still 24-18 for the week. NFL props is where it's at. And I said it on an earlier show. Perfect example. I go to bet something on tonight's game. Perfect example. Go to bet something on tonight's game. Go to the counter of any sports book in town, any major one. You go to Caesars, MGM, Circa, Westgate. I talked to John Murray the other day about this. I said, John, this big game that's going on here, it was a college football game. Was it Alabama? It was a college football game. And I said, someone comes to the counter, they're coming from the casino, they're coming from the counter, want to bet 100,000 10 minutes before the game. Will you take it? He said, yes, we will take it on a major game. That's not even NFL. NFL is the same. They will take it. However, on an NFL prop bet, they have $1,000 max bet.
No, no one's taking those.
Not just them, it's everyone. They have
$1,000
max, or some of the places have a $500 max bet. So that's
Krack have places that have $250.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm limited to $250 at DraftKings in person. On the app, $10. So I always like to say, there's a hot dog lady on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx taking more than $10. She books right out of her bra, and she'll take $20 at least on that same prop bet that DraftKings is betting. But booking. So anyway, that goes to show you the efficiency of the NFL side market compared to NFL props. Props is where it's at. Player props, and that's what I like giving out. Obtainable numbers. Like they asked me on an early show, who do you like tonight in the game? No.
Yeah. So Monday Night Football. We've got Eagles at the Chargers. Eagles still a small favorite. I like the Chargers in a teaser. I'm a wuss. I've been playing these teasers all year long. They've been the best way for me to make money in the NFL by far. And every once in a while, I'll play some of my sides, but that's also why I like the Super Contest, because it gives you a little bit more action. You're playing 5 sides, whether it's there with the Westgate Superbook or you're playing in Circa Million, same kind of thing, right? It gives you some more action, some more things to cheer for. But ultimately, this Monday Night Football game, I think, is a coin flip. So I understand why you don't have an opinion on the side.
Well, I did when the line came out, but I only had one sportsbook that had the line. I actually betted at BetMGM. I bet +3, even money even. Now, if I was to know, I would have bet more. I didn't know it was going to move down to 2 or a money line of -130 or less, because then in that situation, what you want to do, especially if you could find a pick 'em and a 3, I don't get a chance to middle that often, but I don't even recommend middling. But if pick 'em and then pick 'em -30 and +3, that's even money. Oh my God, that's strong as morphine. So of course I didn't know that, but I just thought that the +3 at home in a good situation. I bet that last Sunday night. Like that's the idea, is if you want to get ahead on NFL games, you jump ahead of it a week at a time, a week ahead of time. Right now Westgate, I bet a game at Westgate. I don't remember what it was, but I bet a game at Westgate this morning. I bet a game +3, not plus. It was +3, and they had a $3,000 max bet. Whereas towards game time, whatever you could fit in a suitcase, you could bet at the counter. But now the line's not efficient. It is inefficient. So now's the time to bet them. But I can't even give them to customers. It's not fair. I won't do that. I won't tell a customer +3 on a game when it's only here at Westgate. Some guys that sell, I know some people that sell in other companies, they'll sell and it'll say +3, Hard Rock, Florida. What? You're selling to the whole nation. Hard Rock, Florida, or Bet365, or one of these little sports. That's not fair to people. It's a way to pad your record. Yes, I won't do that. I know what I do. I'm going to win.
Yeah, we have protocols in place at Wager Talk where if the line moves a certain number of points, depending on the sport, or if that line is no longer available, it's got to come down. You cannot, because if anybody saw our customer service, shout out to Johnny Detroit. He was sharing all the customer service stories with me this weekend. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? But at the end of the day, like if your customer writes in and says, hey, I can't get this line available, we're giving them back their money, or we're giving them back wager bucks, or whatever that is, because that isn't right. And you're absolutely correct in terms of that.
Yeah, no, but as far as this game tonight, I may have a prop. I'm sure I'll have a prop later on. But as far as side, no, I know everyone wants a side. I know, it's primetime games. You want to bet the Chiefs, Houston, Eagles, Chargers. I know, but that's the way the books want you to think too. So just know that's exactly the way books want you to think. They want you to bet NFL sides. They want you to even bet maybe some totals, or they want you to bet live. Live, why? Because the juice is double at a lot of shops what it is pre-flop. So of course they want you to bet live. Of course they push live wagering. You know, you're betting, you're laying double the juice than you lay. And by the way, it's a form of closet gambling too. When you're betting live, what you're doing is you're so spontaneous and bet, oh, let me bet this, and then something happens in the game, let me bet that. Before you know it, half your account's pending. You're betting much more than your bankroll would let you bet on a straight game if you have any bankroll management or skill sets. But live is a different thing. You'll bet a lot more. And guess what? Like I said, I call it closet gambling. It really is. It's degenerate closet gambling. We don't even realize what we're doing sometimes. And you get caught up in the live thing. And here's what people do. They bet live. Something they say, oh, they should have bet. It's the human condition. Human nature is tonight. Our Eagles playing Chargers. Eagles get a touchdown. Eagles get another touchdown. And you say, oh, my God, I knew this was going to be a blowout. Now, instead of laying the 2 points, now you're laying 14. You're 14 and a half, 16. It's because, you know, they know that customers think that way. They're even going to add a tax on that side. Normally, the other side is the right side. That's right.
Crack. Whenever I hardly ever bet live, but what I like to do is keep a couple different books open live, especially when it comes to totals in college basketball, because I want to see what the numbers, if the numbers creeping up, great. But you're absolutely right. The other day I had an over, God, I don't even remember the basketball game when it was, but we had an over and it was like 158. We laid over 151 and a half, 158, 163, 159, 160, like bouncing back and forth, right? Sure enough, I look at the live and it's like starting to come down on the sharp book. And I'm like, that's not good. There was 90 points scored in the first half, Crack, and I did not cash that over. It was gross, but you know what? That under was getting juiced and it was getting heavily juiced. And you're right. Those are some telltale signs as just the side that the book is saying, come on in. You can lay minus 115, minus 120. It's going to be fine.
And Kel, I'll make you laugh going on to the casino side. So I actually know someone that won a hand-paid, it's actually a giant jackpot in the casino. So he won $500,000 on a progressive. And I actually know the guy that won the $500,000. And it's amazing. I guess I've never known someone that won that kind of money on one of those, you know, kind of like a mega bucks jackpot. I've never met anyone that won something like that.
You've met Paulie Howard. He's done it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it wasn't him, though, right?
It was his ex-girlfriend. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
But I've known a few people that have won some of these bigger jackpots, but I'm sure that they're still down lifetime.
No, this came along with that. So the guy wins over 500,000, and it was 4 hours. He didn't get anything, no paperwork yet. They were working on it. They had to make sure he hit the machine legitimately, and you know, and what I didn't know was he wouldn't get any money for a few weeks, and the reason why, they have to check with government agencies. Does he owe any money anywhere? Does he owe any alimony or child support? I never knew that was
good. Actually, you know what? Good. I want to know. I have several friends whose deadbeat ex-husband, baby daddies don't pay their bills. I love that. Good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean,
and I don't even like government overreach, but good, because I want to know. At least your ex-wife's getting part of it.
I never knew that's how it happened. He's like, you won't believe it. He goes, I want to take the cash payout compared to, they wanted to give him payments. He wants to take the cash payout, so he's already down to half the money, and now they have to take tax out of that. But also, it was the government agencies they put him through. Does he ever owe any kind of back taxes, any kind of unemployment overpayments? Like he showed me the paperwork. I wish I would have had a copy of it. I was like, you got to be kidding me! It's unbelievable the reach they have checking anything. But yeah, alimony and child support was on there, and you know, listen. Everyone gambles, so you're right. What does it matter? You owe to these people. You're right. They're in there gambling, owing child support. You're right. I just thought, I guess I never was in that situation. You know, when I've hit some hand pays of a royal flush. Like I hit a royal flush, for a hand pay of a 50 play royal flush, a multiple things. I got six-figure, $100,000 payout. They just come over with the cash or check or whatever, you know. I guess because it was a progressive.
Maybe it's always because it's a progressive, or is it because it was over maybe like 250,000?
I think it was too, but I know someone that hit a $400,000 royal at the win. They just gave him the money. He's a regular person there. regular gambler, so maybe that's why. But this was interesting. I said, wow, I did not know. So for all you deadbeats out there, if you're playing, don't play the progressive ones because you're gonna get, they're gonna take the money first.
That's great. I love it. I think that's a great note to end on for all of you deadbeats out there. Krack, never change. You are the best. Krack, wagertalk.com/Krackman is his homepage to jump on board if you're looking for some NFL props. You said you might have one for tonight. So make sure you guys head over there.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, subscribing, and also commenting. Some really nice comments. We appreciate it. And if you want to leave something bad, you're out of here. You're getting
there you go. You can also
very nice people, though. Very nice comments.
You can also catch Krack every single week on Wager Talk Today. Krack, tell me about real quickly where they can catch the show with Alan Boston.
We're filming that later on today, and we'll have that also. I pinned on my Twitter. I pinned on my shows too. So people were asking me where they could find our show last week, and then where they could find Alan Boston's show. So Johnny set up an actual thing there where Johnny Detroit set up something where I actually pinned it to my home screen. All Bill Krackman shows in one place. WT.buzz/Krackman TV. Krackman with a K. Krackman TV. So there you go. And like I said, all the shows there in one spot on my Twitter. That's gonna be that's pinned, and you can see them there. So we appreciate you watching again, and thanks for your comments. See you next week.
All right, guys. See you next week.